Hello and good afternoon. My name is Kit Cabello. I'm with Hard Lens Media. We're recording this very special interview here at the Q4 radio station. You can listen to us every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time on Q4 Radio, 1680 a.m. or q4radio.org. Now, I want everyone to understand the importance of this interview is that our guests that are joining us here, this is still an ongoing case. So even though this interview will be out like 5 weeks from now, they'll still probably continue going on. And if it's not, we'll definitely put an update in our social media network that can be seen on our YouTube, Twitter account, and Facebook page as well. That being said, the person to the left of me is Kerri Barber, and to the right is her attorney. So Kerri, can you please introduce yourself as well as you? Uh,
Sure. My name is Kerri Barber. I was a partner in a small boutique marketing firm called Heroic Media Group. My partner and I set up the firm to help small businesses with PR, marketing, social media, and we also helped with small candidate clients, local as well as a congressional client.
My name is Michelle Kuipers. I'm an associate attorney with Mudd Law Offices. We practice in Chicago as well as nationwide, and we are representing Kerri Barber, Kay Dickinson, and Heroic Media in their lawsuit.
All right. So essentially, I think our viewing audience really needs to understand about Heroic Media. What was it about first? What was the main concept of this organization? And what was the main goals that you and your partner were trying to do with Heroic Media?
Sure. Both Kay and I had our separate firms in branding, both of us with 20 plus years of experience in marketing in our specific fields. I specialized in strategy, execution on social media plans, that side of the house, and Kay was more on graphic design and those things. Well, we got together and decided to use our strengths to combine in a small boutique firm, and it was gangbusters from the get go. We were pooling our existing clients and attracting new ones just based on the content ideas and our unique approach to helping small businesses. We started it because more often than not, you had a small business who was spending way too much money on their PR and marketing, social media, and we would come in and either train their staff or help them with a plan that was executable and successful for a fraction of the price, because we didn't need to make a high overhead to support our business. So that's what we were doing for our business clients. And then because both Kay and I are politically active, myself having been a candidate, we know how hard it is to raise funds for the money that you need for websites and collateral and walk cards and all of that. So we were donating our services as in-kind donations to candidates that we wanted to support.
I see. So it's quite clear that, I've always said to a lot of the activists that have been on the show or politicians, like, hey, we all must contribute, we all must step up. If we want to build a better future, it's going to require involvement. Now, so that everyone can understand, when we first met, you were helping out the Jim Waltz campaign.
That's correct.
It's that interview can be seen on our social media as well. But essentially, there was some pushback towards your organization supporting and helping out Jim Waltz's campaign, as he wasn't, quote unquote, the correct candidate to support.
Right. Well, we're still trying to figure out where this activity came from, but absolutely, we were getting pushback from almost the very beginning. So we had put out a press release because we wanted to have that open, transparent, um, that side of politics where everybody knew that we were helping this particular congressional candidate. And almost from day one, we had someone who I had helped with her previous campaign push back on us in a public venue, very upset that we had signed on to help Mr. Walls. And from there, things just kind of snowballed and got worse. So again, I can't speak to their motivation, but hindsight being 2020, when you see current headlines about the DCCC and other political entities taking the gloves off and not remaining impartial during a primary election, it makes you kind of wonder what was going on there. And even in that particular race, we had the Democratic Chairman's Association endorse candidates, which is not something you see usually.
Right. It seems quite unusual, but at least in American politics, I guess what a lot of people have learned since 2016 is that anything goes. So, uh, as this was going on, it's also clear that your organization as well as your own husband had to deal with a lot of pushback from people who thought that you weren't doing the right thing. So, when when we talk about this lawsuit as it's still ongoing, who are the individuals that are on the other side? What's the role that they played in regards to this happening? Because we did reach out to them for a statement via email. We haven't got a response back.
Sure. And I just want to stress that we are not suing the party. I am still a strong advocate for liberal, progressive, democratic policies. So the individuals that we have named were Nancy Zettler, who is running for state senate currently, our former chairman and now treasurer of the party, Mike Bissett, and his wife, who is serving on our county board, and Christina Zahorik, who is our current chairperson of our county party, as well as an elected state central committee member.
Mm-hmm. So those are the individuals that you're dealing with this case. Now, I guess this is a question towards you. Um, has the other party or via council made any kind of statement in regards to this case that's happening?
The other parties in council haven't made any public statement at this time, and we're still in the very early phases of litigation, so they also haven't had to make any statement to the court yet. But as this comes out, there will be further updates since it's ongoing litigation.
I see. So it's going to continue to be updating as it goes on. So now, when we were talking on Q4 Radio, you definitely made a statement in regards to one that some statements were being made, at least some slander was being made about you and your partner and your company, World Media Group. So essentially, what was the beginning phase? How did this all start? And then what did you do in regards to trying to at least solve the problem before it led to this where it's at right now?
Oh, sure. Some of the earliest incidences, not all of them, but one of the ones that kind of stuck out in my mind was a consultant we were working with on the congressional campaign. She had had a conversation with the then chairman and vice chair and immediately called me with some grave concerns. She said that these people have made some statements about you, about your business practices, and things that are very concerning. Which, for a consultant with her pedigree in politics and standing, to come forward and make that kind of statement to you, you take notice. So, in talking to her, whether whether it was true or not, she suggested I contact them, and I agreed wholeheartedly. So the first thing I did was call them. I have their personal cell phone numbers. So I reached out and made that phone call, and from there things kind of snowballed because some of the things that he had said during that call and to her obviously were unfounded, and very simple things that could be proven in my favor. For example, pull a report from the software tool. Was I logged in? Was I using it in this illegal manner that he had asserted? Well, the answer is no, because it's easy enough to get the evidence that you need.
And a follow up. What again? That program at least you were talking about. Can you at least explain what it is and its purpose?
Oh, sure. Political parties in the state of Illinois and across the country have a database that they use from public voter information about how somebody votes. So as a precinct committee person, and I was an appointed PC, I could pull a report of my precinct, and let's say I wanted to talk to those who were leaning right-leaning Republican voters about a particular issue to get them to change their mind. We call them persuadables. I could pull that report from this tool that we call Vote Builder. The Republicans have something very similar. It's a different name. So one of the things that he asserted, the then Chairman Bissett, was that I, in particular, was using Vote Builder to forward our company, our private business, and to solicit clients from it, which is a clear violation of the terms of use.
Right.
So that particular tool has a report that goes through our admin at the county level, and she herself said that the assertion that was made by the chairman was unfounded.
It seems from what you're stating is that that kind of information can be traced. That if
Mm-hmm.
something's being done, it can easily be seen.
Yes.
And it's something that you just can't cover up. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So when you ask for the copy and also give the copy to the chairman, uh, did he make any kind of statement back?
No.
Or was it just remain silent?
No, there was no response, no apology, no misunderstanding, nothing.
So then to follow up with that, there was an assumption, an accusation being made towards you saying that you were using the voter block, the voter bill information, to basically forward your information to all these people, all these voters. But it seems to me that that stuff can be traced via email. I mean, we live in a very advanced day and age to where, like, your digital footprint is still going to remain. You could delete a tweet, but that tweet isn't going to go away. Same thing with Snapchat. You can make a photo on Snapchat, but that Snapchat will not disappear. It's going to go into an archive.
Exactly. So all of this information and Vote Builder, for all of its great benefits, is not that robust of a tool. As a marketing professional, I would never use it for that kind of marketing campaign. Even working for political campaigns, it's a little clunky. So
it's something that people don't use then.
Not in that particular way. So, but that was just one of the statements that were made. There were multiple statements that we felt, both Kay and I, were designed to tear down our business, our personal reputations, our business, the way that we practiced. It was just repeated, ongoing statements that we kept hearing from other people. So when you hear it from people within the community, business leaders, and others who don't run in the same circles, you take it seriously because it's being said often enough,
right?
That it's making a difference in the way they think about you.
Now, I want to ask you one more question, then I want to focus a question towards you as well. In regards to this, you mentioned on our show, Q4 Radio, that even those who were close to you made a statement that they were being strong-armed to work, to no longer have business with you.
Right.
What was that initial feeling like? What led up to that? Was there any kind of details in regards to what was happening to these people?
Well, some of the candidate clients that we had in other races, local races, were feeling pressure from these individuals to not work with us. And even our congressional client, he was getting, they literally yelled and screamed at him, "Why are you working with them? You need to fire them." And to his credit, he said no.
And that's Jim Waltz.
That was Jim Waltz. And so you can imagine the kind of pressure that some of our other candidate clients were getting. And we sat down and had conversations with them and said, okay, you are in your race, you cannot be successful without the backing of the party. If the problem is us, then we'll back away. We've given you everything that you need right now, the website and all of these things, to be successful. But from here on out, for your race, you need them. So we voluntarily severed ties with two of these candidates in hopes that these other individuals would come around. And in one case, they told this gentleman that, well, you're tainted now.
So even after they did what they were forced to do, they were still disowned. So now I think for a lot of our viewing audience, and I also want to know more about this too, especially with slander and defamation of character, it's quite clear that Heroic Media Group was targeted because they weren't falling in line with what, I guess, the party wanted or certain individuals wanted. So can you explain to our audience, especially here in the state of Illinois, about defamation and slander? Can you go into detail on how it also can relate to this case too?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about that. Well, I wouldn't say we can speak to the exact targeting at this time, but it is clear that there were some statements made that we are alleging that are false. And libel and slander are two sides of the same coin, so much so that in Illinois, they aren't separate. There's just multiple types of defamation, which kind of encompass the whole thing. So in our particular case, we've alleged defamation on the part of Kerri and Kay, but also Heroic Media, speaking to that, and then we've also alleged a more personal type of defamation of character, which is known here in Illinois as false light. But what it breaks down to, with all these fancy legal words, is that a lot of people these days think that they can say whatever they would like and call it opinion, and they're safe. And there's a lot of things that have added to this climate, but There are carve outs to the freedom of speech in the First Amendment. Like everyone knows that you can't shout fire in a crowded theater. That's one of the things that is not protected speech.
Right.
Defamation has also risen to the level that the law says that people cannot say false statements that are that hurt people's reputation, that hurt people's business, that accuse them of crimes, that would just damage people irreparably. And so that's what we're claiming here is that um, all of this conduct has led up to a series of statements that have really harmed the reputation of Kerri and Kay, but also heroic media, so much so that it's irreparable.
Right. So in regards to this, especially because Heroic Media Group was helping out a lot of candidates, most notably Jim Waltz, and now they were being stated that they were using the voter block information just to promote their business. It's quite clear that that information could be traced and tracked down to see if there was any kind of damage being done to voter block, which is one of the many accusations that's being pushed towards Kerri Barber and her partner. What can be done really to at least make sure that something like this doesn't happen again? Because I've always stated that people should get involved and step up and create an organization or get actively involved in politics. What can be done to really stop something like this?
What I'd suggest to people is that if they're going to make statements or commentate on anyone, even if it's just online, because that's the danger. That's the danger is people feel more free to speak online. Is that make sure what you're claiming is true. If you have any doubt in your mind about the truth of something, go look or talk to an attorney and ask them if that is something that you can say, just to protect yourself and protect others. If somebody has said something about you online or in person or to others that you don't believe is true and you feel like it's something that's damaged your reputation, also talk to an attorney. There's many people who do defamation law. It's a niche area, but feel free to contact an attorney and get their opinion.
Now, our show earlier today on Q4 Radio, there was also the interview. Of course, was 30 minutes long. We didn't get a chance to cover anything, but before we started filming here, there was also a couple other notes that you two wanted to add on as well that we didn't get a chance to cover in the first interview. So, would like to add a little bit more into this case and what the long-term goals will be in regards to at least finishing it up?
Well, I can't speak too far to strategy and active litigation, but my firm firmly believes in what we have filed in our client's complaint, and we are prepared to continue with this and support our clients until we reach a successful outcome.
And so let's actually look at Heroic Media Group because, of course, it was under a lot of assault from the various party groups that were, definitely making a lot of defamation towards character, towards everything that you've built. How did this also affect people that are related to you as well? Now, of course, your husband's not part of this case, but this also impacted him as well.
Well, it was a number of things. So not only did we have the apparent coercion of other people who were working with us, but we have open admitted retaliation of my husband in his role as a district chair within our party because of what they said I made statements that they disagree with or whatever. So yeah, it did carry through to not just myself and Kay and our business and our clients, but our families as well. So we had this overwhelming environment of coercion, harassment, retaliation. So, to Michelle's point, in this political climate, what's supposed to happen during a primary is that argument, vigorous argument of ideas and policies, right? So we can even go so far as into a little bit of character. Was somebody open and engaging during a congressional debate or things like that? Those opinions are valid and necessary during a primary. But what we were experiencing, we feel crossed the line completely, because when you have this type of thumbs on the scales during a race that is completely out of the bounds of what the tradition should be and what the law says in the state. So with our case, it was profound to me and educational in that, where do you go to file a complaint? Where do you go to get help when you have these people who are pretty high up in an organization doing this to you? And then along that backdrop, we saw the Me Too thing come out and some other allegations along sexual harassment within people who actually are employed by the state. But in our case, these are basically clubs and there's nobody holding them accountable. So what we found was we had to bring a civil case. If we were going to do anything to get this to stop, you've got to go through the time and effort and great expense out of your own pockets to put this forward. And who can do that?
Right.
And that is where it was most alarming to us, to Kay and I, that there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to file a complaint. No one will help you unless you go for a law firm and hire an attorney.
Yeah. All right, and it also seems that as this is going on, this is damaging Heroic Media Group, as you have stated on our show, and even here, it's quite clear that it's no longer around. It must be a heavy loss to lose something that important, and I apologize that that I have to mention it, but it's very important to note that because of this ongoing lawsuit and the accusations that have been made, it damages a reputation, and it takes a long time to fix it again. So I think it's very important to ask Heroic Media Group, what did it mean to you? What did it mean to you as a person? Because starting Heartlands Media, my partner, who people don't see that much on Can TV, we started Heartlands Media just with us and just a cell phone, and since then we've come pretty far. I only can imagine what you're going through and what you have to deal with.
Yeah, it was a surreal experience because it's hard enough to run a small business because you've got to wear all the hats of sales, and I was the acting CFO, Kay's the CEO. So you're doing that bid process and execution and hiring consultants and subcontractors and getting all of that coordinated. At the same time, you've got all of these negative things coming down. And in our line of work, PR and marketing, especially in a very competitive market like Chicago, your reputation's everything. So Kay and I both, with our 20 years of experience and then combined in our firm, to lose that, you've got nothing left. And that's what we were experiencing. Clients who were telling us, hey, we've heard things, we're uncomfortable, or losing the right to bid on a contract. All of these things started to happen, and little by little, even though we had virtually very small overhead, you still got to pay bills. So it was really taking a toll. And then at the same time, when these negative aspects are coming from an organization that you believe in with all your heart. I mean, I ran for office myself, and my poor husband, I drug him around 35 miles canvassing this district. And then I was acting as a PC for 5 precincts that didn't have a PC in it. All that time and effort and heart and soul, and this is what you get. So for me personally, I can't speak for Kay, but I am now disabled, so my business allowed me to continue working and being a productive member of society because of mobility issues. Now that it's gone, I'm starting all over, and that's extraordinarily difficult.
I'm very sorry that you have to deal with that, especially starting over. I know that when we first met, before all this happened, almost a year ago, you were with the Jim Waltz campaign. You came to Q4 Radio. We had him on our show. The station looked different then. I mean, a lot can happen in a year, but it's quite clear that you were definitely making a huge impact, as his name was on the ballot, and people were definitely following him, and they were seeing what kind of progressive candidate he was. And he did, even though he didn't win his primary, he did leave a strong impact during,
he sure did.
during that primary. So it goes to show that you did have at least a way in at least contributing. Like I always have stated, people need to contribute and do what they can to build a better future. So I think this question is more towards you then. in regards to at least helping your client recover then from something like this, the aftermath. What is the aftermath of a case like this? Because going up against three individuals who are associated with McHenry County Democratic Party, it's quite clear that that's a fight that they're not going to want to lose.
Right. Well, it's absolutely going to be a long process. It's hard to make any estimates about how long litigation is going to last. So we are committed to supporting Kay and Kerri and Heroic throughout the whole process. And it is a combination of emotions and also the law. So while I can't speak to the active strategy, we really firmly believe in this case, and we really firmly believe in our client.
And as we continue on, let's actually look at the concept of McHenry County Democrats, because from what you've described to me throughout this interview and what in Q4, it's an area where those with the power have made all the decisions. Have they done this to anyone else, or at least individuals in that group, that party, done that to anyone else similar to you in the past?
Well, I don't want to speak openly for anyone else, but what has been kind of helpful to us is throughout this process, as word starts to leak out or somebody hears something, occasionally we would get someone who would reach out to us and say, hey, I feel for you because the same thing happened to me. One of them was another congressional candidate. So it was interesting that, okay, we're not alone in this, but when we got to the point throughout the entire race, we kept it quiet because I will openly admit, Kay and I bought into the unity piece, where we wanted the race to be about the issues and the candidates, not about what was going on with us. We did not want it to interfere. So, Mr. Walls didn't know half of what was going on at all, other than what was brought directly to his doorstep. But because of the feedback we were getting from other people behind the scenes, this is why we felt very strongly to bring a case, because now it is our opportunity, after a year of having to remain silent, to tell our story, and hopes that not only can we get all of this information out there, but maybe it'll help somebody else learn from it and avoid what we went through, and then maybe we can get some changes made to make sure that other people are protected.
And final question for this interview, and as we wrap it up, what do you want to say to people who might be discouraged or might be hesitant from getting involved, or at least trying to help out candidates run for office?
Sure. I still am helping candidates run for office. I just have to do it really quietly now. So I would say, if you're passionate, if you are fed up, if you're angry, whenever I went out to recruit for a PC or look for somebody who's willing to run for office, I would look for the angry person who was willing to learn. And that was somebody that knew that something was wrong but didn't quite know the background of it and was willing to be cynical and look up the information and things like that. If that's you, follow through with it. And I would say what they could learn from us is Kay and I are committed to making sure people know what laws in this state govern how political parties are supposed to operate, what rights you have as an activist, as a participant, because without that background knowledge, it's too easy to take advantage of somebody. Something as simple as recognizing the warning signs of an office bully. Review that so that when that situation comes, and it may, you're well prepared and not caught off guard.
Thank you. Thank you very much for ending on that note. We were very glad to have you here. We definitely want to do a follow-through with this interview. Thank you for joining us as well. And to our viewing audience, peace, everyone. Let's all do what we can to build a better future.
You're watching Hard Lens Media.